So thank you. Great. So again, we're going to be talking about the differences between middle school Crosby Scholars and high school Crosby Scholars. What are the differences? There aren't that many, so this part we're going to kind of breeze right on through. We're going to discuss transitioning to high school. What does high school have to offer you? We're going to talk about extracurriculars. We're going to talk about the GPA. We're going to talk about your resources and where you need to go when you have questions and when you need help. We're going to go over a couple of reminders regarding Crosby Scholars. Throughout this time, I'm going to be stopping my share screen and having my Leadership Council students answer some questions or just give us some advice and some tips. And then we are going to wrap up right around 6:30. Maybe we'll get out a little bit early. All right, so middle school Crosby Scholars versus high school Crosby Scholars, what are the differences? For your 9th and 10th grade year, your 9th and 10th grade year as a Crosby Scholar is going to be very similar to your middle school time as a Crosby Scholar. So there's going to be the same requirements, 1 academy, 2 hours of community service. We're going to ask you not to receive out of school suspension. We're going to ask you to sign up for It's My Call, which may be something new for you all. If you're already signed up for a sport or for a club or activity, you've probably already signed up for It's My Call, but if you have not signed up for any clubs or participate in anything just yet, you will have an opportunity to sign up for that at the beginning of the school year. You just need to go to your guidance office and let them know, or student services office, excuse me, and let them know that you want to sign up. So as long as you were in the program in the 8th grade, which I'm assuming all of you were because you're on this call today, you are automatically enrolled for your 9th grade year. The only thing that we need to know is what high school you're going to be going to next year. And so all of you signed up through your Crosby portal for this event today. So you just need to log into your Crosby portal if you haven't already and change your school to a high school. So that we know where you're going to be going next year. And I believe when you signed up, we also asked you what high school you're going to. So if you have issues or don't know how to do it, we're able to do that for you as well. And we can do that when we give you your academy credit for this event. And so the last thing that we have lots of questions about, will I get a scholarship for being a Crosby Scholar? The answer is maybe. And we like to just make sure that students are very clear about this. And so Crosby Scholars does have almost, we offer hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships every single year. We have over 33 scholarships that we give to students, and each and every year we're picking up new scholarships that we're giving out to students. But you may or may not get a scholarship. For the scholarships, you have to apply for them. Other students are also applying for them. So that means that you're competing against other students. The good news is that you're only competing against students that are in Crosby Scholars in your grade. So when you become a senior, you're competing against those students that are in Crosby Scholars. So you're not competing against students all across the city, the state, the country. You're only competing against students that are in Crosby Scholars. And believe it or not, we have scholarships where 1 or 2 students sign up or apply for the scholarship. And so those students generally automatically will receive that scholarship depending on how many we're passing out. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then the last thing is that we have what's called our last dollar grant. This is scholarship money or need-based grant money that we give out to students each and every year through your freshman year of college all the way through your senior year of college for up to 6 semesters. 8 semesters. And so that's money that you do have to apply for every year, but we have a huge pot of money and we just give that money out until it is gone. Again, it is need-based money, so there is an application process. It is tied along to your FAFSA. As you get a little bit older, you'll start to learn more about what the FAFSA is, but that's the form that you have to fill out for the federal government to determine how much money your family is able to pay. So we ask you to complete some documents for us, submit that information to us, and then we're giving out money based on a couple of different factors. Some of them include how much your college costs, and also how much your family is able to contribute to your college. So those are just a couple of things about Crosby Scholars. All right, so again, we're going to discuss transitioning to high school. There are a few things that you can begin to expect as you transition to high school. You can expect to have more challenging coursework. You can expect to have a transcript that's going to follow you from your freshman year, sometimes even from your 8th grade year, all the way through to your senior year. You're going to be able to track your GPA, and that's really important. And we're going to spend some time talking about GPA as well. You may have classes with students from other grade levels. So if you're in an upper level or honors level class, you may have classes with students that are in their sophomore year, in their junior year of school. You're going to have block scheduling. For some of you, this is going to be new, where you're going to be in class for a longer period of time. That means that your attention span's got to be a little bit longer, where you're spending time in less number of classes, but you're going to be spending longer time in those classes. And you'll have alternate classes. So you'll have A days and B days, where on this day you'll have this set of classes, and then on B day you'll have a separate set of classes. You'll have more freedom to choose your class options, and you'll have more class options. So every high school or every school in the school district follows the student handbook. There's lots of class options in the handbook. I know that you all probably have already signed up for your classes, but as you transition to your sophomore year, your junior and senior year, just knowing that there are going to be so many more options of classes that you can take. And for a lot of students, this is exciting. To not have someone kind of dictate what classes they have to take, but to be able to choose what classes that you want to take. So if you want to take art, perfectly fine, you can do that. But if you're terrible at art like I was when I was in school, you can stay far, far away from art, which is what I did. I never took an art class. But even for your PE class, you can take PE like regular gym, or you can take dance. And so if you don't want to be, running around playing basketball and, doing different things like that, you can take dance. So there are a lot of different options. You will need to be a little bit more self-motivated. So your teachers aren't going to just like completely leave you, alone to do all the things by yourself. But they are going to expect that you are, taking the time to know what's going to be needed for your classes. They're going to ask you to, make sure that you're keeping up on dates and things like that. So, maybe your middle school teachers have tried to scare you and say, oh, in high school, this isn't going to fly. And they're partly right. But again, your teachers are super understanding, and will make sure that you know what you need to get done. And then you may have more homework and more projects. So that's also a transition, especially if you're going to be in any upper level classes. You may have some extra classes that you'll need to take, more homework, more projects. You may have group projects that you have to work on with other people. And that can also present its own special set of challenges. But you may be able to expect that you'll have more assignments that you'll have to do. All right, so right now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to jump over to our Leadership Council students. So on this call, I have Paige, Free, Rachel, and Tilly, and they are all a part of our Leadership Council for the year. And so I'm going to call you all out, and you can introduce yourself to say what your name is, what school you go to, what grade you're going into. And then I'm going to have you all respond to a question, okay? So we will start with Paige. Paige, if you'll introduce yourself for us.
So my name is Paige, and I'm going to be a sophomore at Atkins High School this year.
Awesome. Thanks, Paige. And we'll go with Free next.
Hi, my name is Free. I'm going to be a sophomore at Reynolds.
Awesome. Reynolds and Rachel.
Hey, my name is Rachel. I will be a junior at West Forsyth this year.
Great. And Tilly.
Hi, my name's Tilly, and I'm going to be a sophomore at virtual at JFK this year.
Awesome. And Tilly, you're doing dual enrollment, is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So we may ask you a little bit about that as well, just the process to getting involved in that. Okay, so we will, anyone can answer this question. What is something that you wish you knew when you started high school? What is something
I wish I knew that everyone's study habits aren't going to work for you, that you have to like find your own study habits. As a freshman, I took AP World, and so like I was in a class with either everybody was a freshman or everybody was a senior, so it was just freshmen and seniors in that class. And so like listening to other people's study habits and then like finding a way for it to work with yours was really helpful, because like for a long time I was just doing other people's, not mine. which made it hard to study and do well in the class.
So important. And just for your just for your reference, AP World is AP World History. For those of you that are not familiar with that or maybe taking it, you might be taking AP World this year. All right, let me get one more of you all to respond to that question. What do you wish you knew when you started high school?
So I wish I knew about the CP, which stands for Career and College Promise. That's dual enrollment classes through Forsyth Tech that you can take at the same time as when you're in high school. Some of those classes count towards your high school graduation requirements. So you can have college credits and your high school credits kind of combined, and that's really helpful for when you're working towards graduation and trying to get those college classes in too.
Amazing, Tilly. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because a lot of students don't know about the process. I know that Forsyth Tech is doing more to make sure that, you know, students are aware of this opportunity so that they can take advantage, but a lot of students don't know that they can take Forsyth Tech classes. And the really cool thing is that because you're still a student in high school, it's free. So you can go to Forsyth Tech and take those classes for free. And that's really helpful for students. Okay, let's see. Let's do one more question. We'll get this one for Paige and for Rachel. Let's see. This question is a question that we actually got last year from students that participated in this program. At what point do you feel like you are a high schooler? We know that, you know, going into high school, you've got to take some time to adjust. But at what point, we'll go with Paige first, did you feel like you were finally a high schooler? Like you had it down, you knew what you were doing?
I'd say after like the first like 2 weeks, you kind of get into like a groove. If you're taking classes that aren't just block classes and they're like year long, after like 2 weeks, you eventually get used to going to all those different classes and getting to know your teachers. And I'd say like overall, I go to Adkins and the environment's very welcoming. You start to feel like a high schooler pretty quickly, but it does take some adjusting for middle school because there's a good amount more work, but I think your high school teachers will try and scare you, and it's not as bad as they make it sound, or their middle school teachers.
Try to scare you straight. I get it. All right. Rachel, same question. When do you feel like you finally adjusted to high school?
So it was like during the first week of my high school because, you know, I was a freshman, but I didn't really feel like a freshman because all of the older kids would look at me like I'm part of the older kids because I looked older than I really was. And I took classes that were higher than some of the freshman class from the other freshmen. So I just kind of like fit in where like all the juniors and seniors were, which is funny because now I'm finally a junior and I'm finally looking at other people like, oh, well, you know, they look just like me when I was a freshman. So, you know, it's going to be all right.
Cool, great. Thanks for that information. So week 1 and week 2, so it happens really fast. I will say that if you ask a teacher when a student is actually kind of adjusted, when they actually start to act like high schoolers, they're going to say not until the second semester when you get to in January. So you kind of when you've gone through a whole half of the year, that's really when students, freshmen start to act like freshmen. You know, they're not, you know, as sort of the maturity level increases and those kinds of things, and they're really able to kind of handle the workload. So it's really interesting to hear a student perspective versus what I hear from teachers. And I also used to coach cheerleading, and I actually know that for a fact because I had freshmen and sophomores, and my freshman cheerleaders were a wild bunch. Awesome. Okay, we're going to go back to our document here and just keep on going. Again, if you have any questions about what we're discussing, or if there's something that you want to know personally, if you want to ask our Leadership Council students a specific question, knowing what schools they go to, feel free to pop that in the chat box. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. And we want to make sure that your questions are getting answered as well. All right, so your GPA is really important and something that you need to be thinking about from day 1 of your freshman year. So for some of you, if you were taking high school level classes in 8th grade, you may already have a GPA. But for those of you that were not taking high school level classes in middle school, day one of your freshman year is going to be when you first start to stack up points for your GPA. And so your high school GPA is calculated by the rigor of your coursework. And oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. I cannot read this. Okay, it's important to recognize what colleges are looking for in admitted students. Your high school GPA and rigor of your coursework are two of the most important factors when it comes to applying for college. Your grade point average, which is your GPA, is the sum of all of your course grades throughout your high school career divided by the total number of credits that you have accumulated. So the total number of classes that you have to take. Now there's a certain number of credits that you have to take in order to graduate. Your high school counselor will give you that information many times throughout the year. And for a lot of you, depending on what school you go to, there will be a meeting at the beginning of the year, or there will be a meeting at high school orientation next week, where they're going to talk to you about how to calculate your GPA. So this is going to be really quick information about your GPA, but we just want you to know that this is something that you need to be thinking about. So the school system is now on a 10-point scale. I'm not going to date myself, but when I was in high school, the school system was on a 7-point scale, which made it a little bit harder to get an A+ there. But the school system is now on a 10-point scale, and so you can see kind of the numerical grade, how it stacks up to your letter grade, and then how that stacks up to your grade points that you will receive. So typically on an unweighted scale, and we're going to talk about unweighted and weighted in just a few minutes, but if you're receiving all A's, straight A's, you don't have any other B's or C's or D's, you will have a 4.0. And so that's what we really want you to strive for. We know that things happen. We know that classes can be hard. We know that you're adjusting to school, but we really want you to strive to be making A's and B's in all of your classes. And so again, your grade point average is the sum of all of your course grades throughout your high school career divided by the total number of credits that you have completed. And so you will have a weighted GPA and an unweighted GPA. Your unweighted GPA is just the average of all of your grades on a 4.0 scale, which is listed here above. So your unweighted GPA does not factor in any of your higher level classes. And so higher level classes can be honors classes, they can be seminar classes, AP classes, IB, or dual enrollment. And so these classes are what will factor into your weighted GPA because they give a higher weight based on the level that they are. So AP classes give a higher weight than even honors classes. And so as Free mentioned, she took AP World History last year. And so that's even more of a weight than honors World History. And she did that as a freshman. So there aren't a ton of APs that you can take as a freshman. I know AP World is one of them. There may be one or two more that you can take, but I know they try to limit the number of APs that freshmen are able to take. But just know that there are going to be opportunities for you to take upper level classes as well. So Free, I know you took AP World. Did you take any other APs in your freshman year?
No, I didn't take any other APs because that was the only one they offered. But this year, I think if you've already taken Earth Environmental, you could go ahead and take APES as a freshman. I'm not sure.
Okay, good. And so APE stands for AP Environmental Science as well. You can take that as a freshman or maybe probably a sophomore. I took it as a senior when I was in school. It was science was one of my least favorite subjects. So I took it as a senior. But there are certainly opportunities for you to take AP Environmental Science, and there are AP classes in all sorts of subjects. And so Paige, Rachel, or Tilly, did any of you take any AP classes in your freshman year?
So I couldn't take any APs because at Kennedy Virtual, they actually don't have any offered, but, and that's for, I think, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But I was interested in taking upper level classes. So I actually took those through dual enrollment. They count the same as AP classes in your GPA. So I wasn't able to take the same kind of class exactly, but those college classes were kind of like APs for me. So that's a good option if your school doesn't have AP classes offered.
Absolutely. Tilly, I'm really glad that you're here to be able to talk about dual enrollment again, because not a lot of students know about it. So great. Rachel or Paige?
So, freshman and sophomore year, I only took honors classes, but this year I am taking AP Art because they just added that into my school, which is lucky for me because all of my encore classes are art related because I am going to go double major in dance and art. So that's kind of like one of the lucky things about my school is that we just keep adding stuff into it.
Good. Awesome.
And I took AP World in my freshman year, and then this upcoming year I'm taking 3 APs, AP Seminar, or wait, no, can't take that one. That one's not only at Career Center, not at Atkins. I'm taking AP Human Geo, AP Government and Politics, and I forgot what the other one was, but there's one more.
You'll find out real soon.
Probably AP Psych.
Oh yeah, it is AP Psych.
Good. Okay, good. So the one thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that you can take APs in your freshman year. You don't have to take APs in your freshman year. And I know that you've already signed up for your classes. And so a lot of you are probably already locked into the classes that you're going to be taking. But really the idea is to challenge yourself. And so going into your freshman year, we want you to just be taking a rigorous coursework, but we also know that you're going to be adjusting to high school. And so if you don't, think that you can handle an AP at this point, that's perfectly fine. It's totally okay. But thinking about taking some honors classes, maybe a seminar class, is also a great way to challenge yourself. And so, really what's important for you to know at this point is to know yourself. Know what you can handle, know, what's you're going to be doing outside of school as well. And that will also play a factor in how much time you have to take. I'll say when I was in high school, which was a really long time ago now, it feels like anyway, but when I was in high school, I didn't take an AP class when I was a freshman, and there was only one that you could take, which is AP World, and I didn't take it, and that's perfectly fine. But when I got to my sophomore year, I did jump into an AP class. So again, what's really important is for you to know yourself, know what you can handle. If honors is it, great. If all standard classes is what you can handle and you're going to do really well in those standard classes, that's great. What's more important is that you know yourself and know what you can handle. And so we get this question all the time. What is a good GPA? A good GPA is the best that you can do, and that's really a relative question. It really depends on where you want to go to college. And so over here on the left, we've listed just a few colleges. Again, this is not a full list of colleges, and these are all certainly averages or ranges in some cases of colleges that are available. But what matters most is that you know the GPA of the accepted students that get into the college that you are interested in. And so some of these schools don't actively publish their GPA because they really want students to just do the best that they can. So it was a little hard to find Duke's GPA, and it was a little hard to find Wake Forest's GPA, but I was able to find a number. But again, what's more important is that you know what the GPA is of the school that you were interested in going into. So as you're doing your research, it's not too early to start looking into these things, checking out the GPA ranges for accepted students at the schools on your wish list, and seeing how your grades compare. Knowing this information early so that you can continue to keep track of your transcript, continue to keep track of your GPA, and making sure that you're stacking up to the students that are going to be applying to that school in the future. And then besides doing well in the courses that you took, colleges want to see that you are challenging yourself academically. So again, if in your freshman year, if you're only, if you're good with doing just, standard classes, that's perfectly fine. But maybe in your sophomore year, thinking about, or even in the second semester of your freshman year, thinking about taking an honors class or two, thinking about jumping into an AP class at the beginning of your sophomore year. I don't think anyone goes to Paisley on this call, but if you go to Paisley, which Free, didn't you go to Paisley and you were in the IB program?
Yeah, I went to Paisley. I was in the IB program, and then I also went to Speece, which is the elementary school that has the IB program.
But you're not continuing. You're going to Reynolds,
No,
right?
I'm at Reynolds, but the IB program is really good at Paisley. You are offered plenty more rigorous classes, and like it's more of like a smaller group of people than middle school. When I went to high school, I wanted to be around a bigger group, so Paisley wasn't the choice for me, but it may be the choice for other people.
Good. Thanks for sharing that. So yeah, Paisley is an option as well. And the track is to go to Paisley for 2 years in 9th and 10th grade and then go to Parkland. But you also don't have to, just like Frida. She's decided to go to Reynolds. And then as we already mentioned that Tilly goes to the virtual, no, Tilly, you're at early college or you're virtual?
I am virtual.
You're virtual, and then you're doing dual enrollment. Sorry, I wrote down early college for some reason, but you're virtual, and then you're doing dual enrollment with the CCP program. So there are so many options for you to make sure that you're challenging yourself. Again, that's what colleges want to see, that you're doing the best that you can. You're able to maintain or be able to balance taking those rigorous courses and also being in extracurriculars or being involved doing community service and those kinds of things. So let me see what questions. Oh, wait, we've actually kind of chatted already, so we'll kind of keep moving forward. So as you think about your college planning, the decisions you make as a 9th grader have a huge impact on your college planning. 4 years is going to fly by. The big thing that I like to tell my students, especially my freshmen, is that you really technically only have 3 years to get prepared for college. You're going to be applying to colleges starting in the summer of your senior year. So you're not even going to have senior year grades when you start to apply to college. So you really have 3 years to get it together, to keep it together. And so that's why it's just really important that you start the year off right as a freshman, and you finish the year off, you finish your 3rd year as a junior off really strong. So a couple of things that you can do to make sure that you are getting yourself prepared, keeping yourself prepared. Reading every day. I know this sounds like, kind of lame, like, all right, she's telling me to read a book. But you don't have to just read a book. You can read, magazines, you can read, blogs, you can read there's so many different things that you can read. But the more you read, the more it's going to help you when you get to taking tests like the ACT and the SAT. And these are college entrance exams that you're going to be taking maybe in your late sophomore year into your junior and senior year to help you get into college. And so the more that you read, the better it's going to help you on these tests. And we want you to do as good as you can on these tests, and maybe take them 1 or 2 times and not have to take them like I did three times. It was real rough. So getting involved. So we're going to talk a little bit about extracurriculars in just a few minutes. We're going to hear from our leadership council about what extracurriculars they're involved in as well, and how they got involved in those things. But finding things that you're interested in, but also, not just doing the things that you did in middle school, but finding new things that you might be interested in. And so, high school is going to have a lot more extracurriculars that you can be involved in, a lot more clubs, a lot more sports that you can sign up for. And so getting involved in different activities, there's going to be opportunities for you to volunteer more because you're a little bit older now. And so again, just knowing what's out there for you, what opportunities are there for you. There's going to be student council that you can join. Crosby Scholars has a leadership council that you can join. There's going to be art clubs, music clubs, chess club, robotics club. There are just so many different clubs that you can take. And again, these are things that colleges want to see that you're involved in. There's going to be a whole section and probably even an essay on what you did when you were in high school as you get ready to apply for colleges. And so these things are able to provide you with being able to write essays that are, kind of well-rounded, and just to have a well-rounded resume as well. Involving your family. So maybe you're going to be the first person in your family to go to college, or maybe you have a long history of people in your family that have already gone to college. Maybe you're going to, continue the legacy of going to this one particular college that everyone in your family goes to. or maybe you're going to be the rebel and go to the, the enemy college. But whatever it is that you decide to do, make the decision for yourself, but make sure to involve your family. So if you're going to be the one that's breaking the legacy and not going to the college that everyone goes to, maybe they won't be happy with you for a little bit, but they will eventually get on board. And that's just a kind of a joke we were discussing that your work one day. And so, getting your parents involved. If you have older siblings that have gone to college, talking to them about going to college. Going to visit them on campus in their college dorm rooms is a great way. Or if it's not a sibling, maybe it's a cousin or a neighbor, going to visit them at their college. But just involving people that are that are in your circle that can really help and support you as you go through this process. And also teachers can help you as well. Teachers are going to be the ones that are writing your letters of recommendation. Your counselors are going to be ones that are writing your letters of recommendation. And so making sure that you are involving really everyone in your circle and on your team, and so that they can help you. If you're on a sports team and you want to play that sport in college, also involving your coaches. If you are going to be getting a part-time job when you're in college, involving your employer, there may be scholarships attached to your job. And so again, just thinking about all of the people in your network and how they can help you. It's really important to get other people involved. And then if a problem comes up, asking for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's something that I learned when I was actually in college. And it wasn't until I was in college that I learned that it's really important to ask for help. Don't sit there and drown by yourself, which is what I did. I was failing some classes and no one knew, and I was just doing it on my own, and was really struggling through my first year of college. And so this is a skill that you need to learn when you're in high school, that this is something that you can learn. This is a skill that people really appreciate when you know how to ask for help, that you don't just sit there and struggle by yourself. So that's really something that's really important as well, and a skill that you can learn a lot earlier than when I learned it. And asking for help can mean a lot of different things. It can mean telling your teacher that you don't understand a concept that they've taught, that day or the day before. It can mean letting your parents know or your guardian know that you need a tutor, or that you need some sort of academic assistance. It could mean going to your counselor and letting them know that you're having difficulty keeping up with the coursework and that you need some additional help. There are so many different ways that you can ask for help. All right, so I'm going to again stop sharing so we can discuss a couple of things with our leadership council. Let me pull up my awesome questions here. Okay. So can one or two of you give me some information about tips that you use, or things or advice that you can share about how you can manage your classes better, such as keeping track of your homework and assignments?
One way that I kept track of my homework and assignments was I used a planner. I would write down my homework or just anything that needed to get done that night. I'm on the cross country team at Atkins and the track team, so it's very important for me to be able to get the work done in study hall and at home. So yeah, just keeping track of your work. Also, like virtual calendars. I know some people use those to keep track of what they have to do.
Good, thanks, Paige. One more, anybody else have something different?
I agree that a planner is really good, and if you're doing CCP, you'll probably want to print out your syllabus. That's really important because it helps you keep track of due dates. But for college classes, your teacher's expectations will be really different for different classes. So having your syllabus will help you. It'll help remind you what they expect of you and what you need to do for those classes.
Absolutely. Great. Those are two really great responses. So whether or not you have a planner now, that's perfectly up to you. But I certainly recommend that you find a way to keep track of your things, whether it's, on your phone and you're able to kind of do that. I personally could not use my phone as my planner. I just don't know how to use it. I don't know what goes on. I just don't know how to use my phone planner. I like to write things down also and kind of see them in my handwriting. And so like Paige and like Tilly, I like to have that planner. But you know, in high school and even when I got to college, I lived by my planner. Like that thing went with me everywhere because I just needed to know where I needed to be at all times. So, you know, whether it's a electronic or virtual planner, whether it's a paper planner, like get one before the first day of school, make sure that you know how to use it and then actually use it and go back to it. And so I know there's all kinds of like bullet journals now and just like so many different ways that you can stay organized. But that's a great way to keep track of all the things that you have to do. Okay, let's see. We just talked about college. Do you guys, my 4 leadership council, do you know what college you're interested in applying to yet? Y'all can share.
My top 2 colleges are Howard University. It's a private institution in Washington, D.C. There's also HBCU, which is a historically Black college or university. My second top choice is Spelman College, which is just a 4-year university. It's an all-girls school, and it's also HBCU. It's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good. Free's trying to get out of here. She's like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. I love it. Paige, Rachel, or Tilly?
So currently I've kind of like already made my choice because my cousin just graduated from there and I already know almost all the people down there that are in the college. Plus I have friends that are down there currently, but I'm planning on going to Ramp University. It just turned into a university. It used to be a 2-year school, but it is a ministry college that I plan on going to. And like I said earlier, I plan on majoring in dance and art down there because they have a whole art section and they have a whole leadership and they have a ministry and like a bunch of other stuff that you can be interested in. So it's really interesting for me.
Cool. And what state is Ramp University in?
It's in Hamilton, Alabama.
Alabama. All right, Rachel,
8
also getting on out of here.
hours away.
I plan on going to like realistically like UNC Chapel Hill or NC State, but I would love to go to Duke, but I think that's a stretch college that maybe I can aim for.
And that's perfectly fine. We love to have our reach, our stretch colleges, and then we love to have the ones that we know, you know, we have a really good chance of getting into. And I was actually doing some research today on just colleges, you know, to be able to kind of share some information. And our Duke is one of like a super highly selective school, which Paige, this is not to scare you at all. But I was reading that out of every 100 students that apply to Duke, only like 8 or 9 get in. And I was like, oh, that's insane. That's crazy. But we know that Duke is, you know, in North Carolina, one of our more highly selective schools. And so I just thought that was like a crazy stat to read about. But good. So Chapel Hill, NC State, or Duke. I applied to 2 of those colleges. I did not apply to Duke. All right, Tilly.
So I have yet to look at specific colleges more, figure that out. I have kind of a complicated high school college plan right now.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on doing a lot of dual enrollment classes, as many as I can, and finish a year early. So I'm hoping to finish high school after 11th grade, and also have an associate's degree by then. And then I'll transfer that to a 4-year. And my 12th grade year will likely be a gap year, where I kind of take a break and try and figure out all that college applying and look through that. So I'm not sure about a specific school yet, but I'm figuring out my schedule.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is great. We just had our leadership council students like volunteer for this. We didn't prep them for any of these questions, but I think that we have such a great array of students on this call. Tilly's going to, you know, do dual enrollment. Paige goes to Atkins, Freed's at Reynolds, Rachel's at West, and so really just a wide variety. And so this to me shows that everyone's path is different, and that's perfectly fine. What's more important is that you know what your path is. and you follow that. And so the cool thing with Tilly getting ready to doing her dual enrollment program is that, as she mentioned, she's going to graduate with an associate's degree, and it does allow her to graduate early. And so for every student that doesn't work, but for some students that does work. So again, you have to know yourself, and make sure that you have a plan as you get ready to do those things, and talk to your counselor, talk to your family, and make sure that you involve them in all of these things as well. So great. I just love it. This is just some really good responses. All right, let me see if there's one more question before we jump back to Grace. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in. Okay, this is going to be more of a social question. So how do you meet new people in high school? We'll take 2 responses. Anybody can respond.
I think that you have so many classes like throughout the year. You have 8 in total. You might have them all year long, or you might have them blocks, but I think you meet new people through that. And also clubs and after school activities are a great way to meet people. Being on the team is a great experience, especially like freshman year. You get to like grow with the team as new people come on. So I think that it's really important to get involved in your school, whether that be with clubs, sports, or just be going out and talking to people, making that bold step.
Amazing.
Yeah, what Paige said, just getting really involved in your school. I'm involved in like several clubs and 2 teams, and just like not being afraid to meet new people, because everybody here is new, at least like freshman wise, everybody's new, and like they're all going through the same thing. They're all thinking the same thing. So just like step out of your comfort zone, especially in classes. You're going to be doing, well, I know at least at Reynolds, we do like a lot of group work and like icebreakers. So just don't be afraid to get around, to get to know people.
And fully open yourself up to icebreakers. I know sometimes we can feel like icebreakers are like, this is lame. Why is my teacher making me do this? Or, why is my coach making me do this? But, have an open heart, have an open mind when you go into these things, and really, really get involved in it. That's the only way that you'll learn. Good. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
I know at West Forsyth, like, we have such a big population at our school that's kind of hard not to, like, know people, because everyone's always everywhere. So you eventually, like, learn to know everyone by the end of the year. So when you have, like, a big population of people at your school, it's kind of easier to get to know people, because everyone is kind of, like, in their own cliques. And then with me, I was kind of, like, the person that was, like, thrown into everything. So I just learned to like talk to people like just willy-nilly, and like people are just there. So don't stress about it, learning new people.
Good. I love it. Those are great responses. All right, we're going to talk about I think extracurriculars is next. Yes. Extracurriculars is next. So can y'all see this full screen? Yeah, okay. Good. So getting involved in extracurriculars is a great way to step outside of your comfort zone and try something new. You can do clubs, you can do sports, there are honor societies, there are academic clubs, there's debate team, there's interest club. There's so much that you can do when you get to high school. And that's, again, the beauty of high school. I remember sitting down with a group of 8th graders at the downtown school, and that's such a small school, and they don't have a ton of, activities that they can do. And so that was like the one thing that they were super excited about, which is having the opportunity to get involved in different things. And so if that was the case at your middle school, and this is something that you look forward to, just, dive right in. Don't be afraid to go and ask for more information about different opportunities for you. And we also know that there are some sports that are already going on. So just as we talked about meeting new people, you may already be involved in a sport that's happening. Maybe it's football, maybe it's cheerleading or dance. Maybe it's another one of the fall sports that's happening right now. So you may already have a group of friends at your high school already. But again, each high school has their own unique set of extracurricular activities. So what may be at West may not be at Atkins, and that's perfectly fine as well. But going to things like open house, going to club fairs and different opportunities to learn about organizations is really important, and something, again, that we just want you to dive right into, and don't be afraid to ask questions. So as I mentioned, there's so many different opportunities. There's Honor Society. And so when you were in middle school, maybe there was a National Junior Honor Society, but as you get to high school, especially in your junior and senior year, there will be a National Honor Society. It's a fairly rigorous process. You can't have been in any trouble. You have to have GPA, you have to have, certain signatures and different things like that. And so getting involved in the Honor Society is a great way to, just show that you are an outstanding student. There are language honor societies, Spanish, French. There are national technical honor societies through your CTE courses. And CTE stands for Career Technical Education courses. So like your computer classes, your business classes, and those sorts of classes. There's going to be service clubs. So I know that West has a particular service club. I know that Tabor has a particular service club. I'm sure that all the other schools have a particular service club. Key Club is also a service-oriented extracurricular that you can be involved in. And so pretty much every school has a service club that you can be involved in, where your primary, goal is to give back through service projects, through either to the school or through the community at large. So getting involved in the service clubs, and just knowing also that any activities that you do or any service projects that you complete through your clubs or sports can count towards your Crosby Scholars hours. So you don't have to do anything extra for Crosby Scholars. Whatever you're doing at school through your clubs or sports, you can count toward Crosby Scholars. There are academic clubs. There are, so you'll have math club, which I would be far, far away from, but we have history clubs. There may be the decathlon, there may be a debate club, there may be a trivia club. So those are really cool as well. We have our interest club. So if you're interested in JROTC, that would be something that you can be involved in. If you want to be in band, chorus, orchestra, those are, kind of, you'll have a class, but they also have, separate clubs or sports that, I don't know if it's really considered a sport, but there are separate things that you can do along with that as well. You can be in the pep band, you can be in the marching bands, chorus as well, a drama club, you could be in theater, the dance team, the cheerleading team, which would probably be a little bit more under athletics along with dance. We probably should have moved that one around, but again, there's debate club. There's the Future Business Leaders of America. There's just so many different clubs. I know that Atkins has a robotics club. I know that a couple of schools, Atkins and Reagan and a few others, have like a environmental club where students are, interested in the environment. So there are so many different clubs. And then athletics, of course, we know that we love, football. We're getting into football season now. Have football games started, or is it this week? Is this the first week?
Friday.
So hopefully you're going to your school's football game this week. The first week back is a lot of fun. And you can do basketball. That's also a fall sport, or like fall into winter sport. You have cross country, which we heard Paige does. We have cheerleading, golf, just so many different sports and clubs that you can be involved in. And then student government. And so you can be the representative for the freshman at your school, the sophomore at your school. You can be the president of your school. And there are different levels of being involved in student government as well. And again, this is not even a comprehensive list. Like, there's so many things. As I was doing research last year for a couple of different reasons, and I was going through Atkins' list of service or clubs that they offer, it was like a really long list of things that they offer. So you can really be involved in anything. I know there's some schools that have a Quidditch clubs if you like Harry Potter. That was a thing. Again, there's so many different things that you can be involved in. So let's see, Free, what are you involved in at Reynolds?
Oh, I'm involved in a lot. I'm a part of the varsity cheer team, the varsity track team. This year, I'll be serving as the vice president of the Ebony Society, which is a minority-based community service group. I'm also a part of Crosby Scholars Leadership Council, of course. I think that I'll be doing VIP tutoring this year, which is a nonprofit-based organization through Wake Forest that helps kids who need tutoring So I'm in a lot of service
You're
stuff.
gonna
So
be
it's just
busy,
really good to get involved. Yeah.
busy. Okay, Rachel, what are you involved in?
So I am a part of FCA. I am a part of the drama club at West Forsyth. I am a part of the National Honor Society for Dance. I'm also the PR of the photography club. And of course, we have Crossing Scars Leadership Council. And I feel like there's more, but I can't really remember right now. So I'll get back to you when I remember.
No worries. And we'll go with Paige and then we'll go with Tilly.
So in freshman year, I did girls weightlifting, culinary arts club, environmental club, and then obviously, what do you call it? Crosby's College Leadership Council. And then I did track and cross country, but I'm gonna probably join some more clubs this year. I think like freshman year is a great year to kind of figure out what you like and what you don't like. And you can always quit a club, always join a club. A lot of clubs accept you like halfway through the years. So.
Good point. Great point. And then Tilly, do you have clubs at your school kind of in the traditional sense, or how does that work at virtual?
So my school doesn't have a lot of clubs or extracurriculars offered, and I don't think there are any offered virtually. So it's actually, I've been wanting to start a club at my school to give some more opportunities, and I think that would look good if you were applying for college too, that if you have something you want to start, you can go ahead and try. So I do some sports outside of high school. I don't usually do competitive sports, but I do some stuff with my family. I do swimming. We started pickleball. I'm actually trying to get a pickleball club started at my brother's middle school where I went. So we're gonna raise money to help that happen. So we've done some different community service things. We raised money for Ukraine. But I have some different things outside of school, but I'd like to start some in school too.
Awesome. This is just great. It's so amazing that you guys are all doing different things. They seem like things that you guys are really passionate about. And Tilly, I just love that even though your school doesn't offer things, you're able to either bring something to your brother's school and start that, or maybe even bringing it to your school. And that's the other thing. All those schools have tons and tons of clubs. You can still start your own. And so, you just have to have a teacher that sponsors you, someone that's willing to like stay after school every so often, get permission from your principal. I'm sure you have to, write up some bylaws and things like that, but it's really easy to be able to start a club. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, and you get to your school and you're like, they don't have this particular club that I want, I'm going to start it myself. You can certainly do that. Amazing. You guys are just so busy and so impressive. And so that's the other thing, again, as I mentioned, there's going to be club fairs. There's going to be at open house, you'll see a lot of different clubs that are set up, have a table set up. And so just learning about what those organizations do and what they are involved in. All right, and in our last couple of minutes, I want to remind you to make sure that you log into your student portal regularly. If you'll update your high school in your portal, and then just know that your community service deadline is April the 24th, and we do have our online form. And I actually think this QR code takes you to the old form, so don't use that form unless, Grace, you updated it, but I think that's still the old form. So don't use that QR code that's down there, but there is the new online form listed on our website, and you can submit your community service hours. We do accept hours that you completed over the summer. And so any hours that you did over the summer, or any hours that you plan to do, just submit them to us. You have for my 9th and 10th graders until April the 24th. Perfect. Do we have any questions for our panelists or for myself? Anyone want to ask a question? Good. Let's see. May said, I'm taking Earth and Environmental Science honors this year. Is to work harder. Okay, so this will be for one of our students. So is it Nevaeh? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Nevaeh is taking Earth and Environmental Science honors class this year. Can anyone speak to the work? Is it harder, and is there a lot of studying?
So I took this class my sophomore year, the beginning of my sophomore year, and it wasn't bad, but honestly, biology is honestly, in my opinion, better than Earth Environmental. But Earth Environmental is like necessary, but the work for it is not bad as long as you just do it. It's all about just doing your work. That's it. But some teachers you don't get a lot of group work, which is the downside of it. But if you just do your work, then it should be like a breeze through class if you just do what you're supposed to.
Anybody else take that class and have anything different to add?
I took that class in 8th grade, so it might be a little different for me. But when I took the class, it was fairly like on one of the easier classes. Like it was a lighter workload than some of my other classes. You're really just learning about the earth. So like you're learning about kind of like everything that'll prepare you for biology, chemistry, anatomy, any other science course that you would like to take in the future.
Okay. Any other questions from my audience today? No. All right, well, we are a minute over time, so thank you for giving me an extra minute today. Thank you to my Leadership Council students for participating today. You are going to get your 1 hour of community service. If you want to submit that through the form, or if you want me to submit it, just let me know and I will do that. If you do it yourself and you need to put a person's name, you can put my name on there as the person that supervised your activity. And then you can submit that and we will get that. Again, Ms. Sanabri and Ms. Grace put the community service form link into the chat box. So for those of you that need that, that is there for you to submit your community service hours for the year. It's always on our website, so you'll always be able to find that as well. And again, we wish you the best, the most luck in your first year of high school. You will see Crosby staff members at the open house next week, so feel free to stop by and say hello. If you have any other questions, feel free to get them, reach out to us via email or via phone call, and we're happy to get any of your questions answered as well. So again, we wish you the absolute best and that we hope you have a good last few days of summer. And if you're going to the football game, be safe and have lots of fun. Talk to you guys later.
I had a quick question about the open house time slots when we'd find those out.
Yeah,